I wanted to try the most terrifying run that I think I've ever done to date. Zubat only in Pokemon Yellow. Zubat is obviously terrible both in stats and in learn set, so I think this is going to be a bit of a long one. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel to get more weekly Pokemon content, and let's get into it. My first run with Zubat started out so lucky. It's actually very difficult for Zubat to win this first lab battle because it only has Leech Life and terrible stats, but it actually worked out in this first one. On top of that, I'm able to get past Brock at level 15 without any resets in the entire game so far. However, this run was doomed to failure. During Lance's fight, I had a mid-battle level up. This means I couldn't stack up any badge boosts, and I didn't have the learn set to be able to knock out any of his Pokemon, and I had no options left at this point. Even being over-leveled by almost 20 levels, this is just not possible. I even switched to try to use Toxic and change up my strategies, just nothing worked. So it came time that I had to just reset, ditch the run after over 3 hours, and start again. But this run I think is going to be much better. I learned a lot from the first one. I tried a bunch of times, but I couldn't get a win in the lab battle after that first attempt. So we're just going to go without. Instead, I'll fight some low-level poison types out on Route 22 in order to get to level 6 before I go into the forest. In the forest, I'm going to fight the Nidoran trainer here on the left side. She's only in yellow version and is actually really useful for Zubat here because I can get some easy training. Interestingly, Leech Life is actually super effective against poison types. This was a mistake in Gen 1, but it's actually very useful here. The problem is that Leech Life is still only base 20 power, so it's very weak. Once I'm out of Leech Life uses, I actually find a Pidgey, which is perfect timing because Struggle is actually going to deal more damage to Pidgey than Leech Life would. This makes it easier and quicker to catch, and we don't have to worry about trying to find one later. We nicknamed Pidgey the Man Jr. after our subscriber. Thank you so much for being subscribed. Thank you for supporting the channel. You're awesome. At level 10, I try to go back and fight the rival just to get some more experience. I know based on the last run, we're going to at least need level 15 for Brock, so I wanted to get the experience here just so we didn't have to train so much in the forest, but it went badly both times, so I just went to Pewter City and went to the grass outside of the forest and trained up on the poison types there, and Rattata as well. Eventually I got to level 15 and I can attempt Brock. On the first try, I'm not even really that close. This battle relies a lot on supersonic luck and confusion, so 2 times in a row I can get to Onix, but I just can't make it through. On the third attempt I can get lucky and Onix hits itself enough times that Zubat can take the win. It's still very close. Honestly, training up here might have been even better, but it would have taken so long at this point. After Brock, we're going to fight every single available trainer, both on Route 3 and in Mount Moon. Now this is very unusual. I often try to skip as many battles as I can here, but Zubat's going to need an insanely high level to be able to beat this game. So we get to see some interesting trainers here that we don't often get to see. There's actually a couple of bug catchers in Mount Moon that I can fight, as well as the last with the Clefairies. I actually go down into the basement room as well and pick up the HP up and fight the Rocket down here. Now I don't think I've fought him more than maybe a couple of times ever. He's kind of tucked away and never really that important to fight. The HP up might be nice. I don't think I'm going to be able to use that many vitamins in the playthrough because I'm going to need so much training. We can beat the Super Nerd and pick up the Fossil, and then we can get out of Mount Moon and get to Cerulean City. I'm actually not going to fight Misty quite yet. I'm going to do the rival instead. I'm a little bit scared of Bubble Beam, and I think the rival will be a better fight. However, it's still tough because of Sand Attack. Zubat has the problem that it cannot knock out Pokemon very quickly. It's a very slow battle every single time, so I can get hit by a lot of uses of Sand Attack. And this can quickly stack up to just not work out very well at all. Sand Attack in Gen 1 is kind of worst case scenario in some fights. Worse than getting hit by attacking moves, which is kind of weird, but when you get your accuracy dropped so fast, I mean the first hit drops you down to 66% accuracy after one hit. It can really mess you up in a fight. What ends up working is that I can confuse the Sandshrew and then get 2 lucky misses of Sand Attack. It could have used Scratch as well, that would have been fine, but we finally made it through and we can get to the Eevee without dropped accuracy, and that makes a huge difference. After that, with Bite, the trainers on the bridge are no problem, and we can finally pick up Charmander and name this Antonius. Thank you, Antonius, for being subscribed. You're awesome. If you want to see your name here, make sure to get subscribed and get in the comments. I'd love to see it. On Route 25, we're going to fight every single trainer as well, except for the Hikers. The Hikers are just really slow to fight. I don't have any special moves, so everything except Hikers I'm going to be fighting. And that gets us to Misty at level 26. Bite is going to be our best damage here, but Leech Life will be super effective against Starmie. Confuse Ray is also a huge upgrade to Supersonic. 100% accuracy instead of 55%, I would take that any day. It really does show how bad Zubat's learn set is. The fact that it has both Supersonic and Confuse Ray at the same time and no other better options. That's just really tough. Speaking of tough, the rocket outside of Cerulean City can be a struggle. Drowsy can use Hypnosis and Confusion to deal massive damage. Luckily, the trainer isn't that good. He doesn't have good AI, so he doesn't know that he can just put me to sleep and just beat me up. Luckily, we can get through this fight on the first try. And that'll get us to Vermilion City. Well, outside of Vermilion City, that is, because I need to fight every single trainer here, except the Butterfree trainer. And we're already getting close to an hour of game time without even getting to Vermilion City yet, where Surge is going to be another problem. But luckily, we can finally learn Wing Attack and get a move that has Stab. This is the same type attack bonus. And up to this point, this is the first move that Zubat has access to that is actually decent. Bite isn't bad either, but in Gen 1, it only has a 10% chance to crit and not 30. So it really isn't as useful as you would think. Plus it's only normal type, so it doesn't get any advantages there. After clearing every single trainer on the east of Vermilion City, as well as in the SS Anne, I can go to the rival, and his team is just a breeze at this point. I'm so over leveled, I go into this fight at level 33. That is an insanely high level to be at on the SS Anne. Especially for a medium fast growth rate Pokemon, which while that sounds good, is actually a slower growth rate in the early game. So Zubat has already done a ton of training, which is good because I need it for Surge. But on my first attempt at Surge, I just get blasted right out of the air by Thunderbolt. I mean, he doesn't have good AI, meaning he doesn't know to prioritize that move, and I can hit him with Confuse Ray to make him even less consistent, but no, it doesn't work. So we're just going to skip him until later. Instead, we're going to go pick up the bike and head out toward Rock Tunnel. At this point, we're so overleveled that most of the trainers are easy, but there is this guy that has a Sandshrew. Now, he's not difficult, but he does have a very interesting move on his set. He has Fissure. He's actually one of the few trainers that has this move. I guess he's been training real hard. All of the extra training leads to that self-destructing hiker. This guy is the biggest hurdle in the early game. While we can skip Surge, and we could really skip Misty until after the SS Anne, this guy is required. We have to fight him now if we want to have access to any more trainers, any more gym badges, and he's tough. We don't have any special moves. We have Confuse Ray, but we don't have any like poison or status conditions yet. So Zubat just has to knock these guys out as quickly as possible using Bite. Leech Life also works to restore some health, which is good. And luckily, because Zubat is level 36 after 1 hour of training, we can actually get past him on the first try. As we leave the tunnel, we're also going to fight almost every trainer on the route to Celadon City until we run out of PP. At which point we're going to go start doing our errands and pick up the PP ups, as well as the items in the Rocket Hideout, and we can start planning for later in the game. So now a quick note on my overlay. On the Pokemon card, on the bottom, you can see there's a section for vitamins. This tells me which stat can still use vitamins and how many. They're just in order, they're not labeled, but they're just for a note from myself when I'm playing. At the beginning of the game, you could use up to 10 vitamins, but as you train and get stat experience, this number is going to drop. So because I've trained so much, I'm going to get a spread of vitamins that are going to boost all of my stats and just try to make Zubat as buff as possible because we're really going to need it. After we pick up Fly, we can actually ride our bike back to Vermilion City. We can't use Fly yet because we don't have the gym badge, but we can go back and get our revenge on Surge. Now we are level 39 at this point, so way over leveled, but Zubat really needed it for Surge. That Thunderbolt hits real hard. We have Confuse Ray that I can use again to kind of mess up the Raichu, but I guess we didn't really need it. When Double Edge gets a crit, we can actually knock it straight out. Nicely done, Zubat. I can pick up Squirtle and name it Wooter. Thank you so much for being subscribed. After that, I can fly back to Celadon City and fight Erica. Now again, I fight every single trainer in Erica's gym and then take her on. Wing Attack is excellent here. I do get paralyzed, which is a little bit rough, but luckily her Pokemon only have grass and poison moves, so their damage against Zubat is very limited. And beating her gets us a great reward. We can get Mega Drain. We now have a move we can use against rock and ground type Pokemon that'll be a huge benefit. We teach that and we can head over to the rival. But at this point we're level 41 going into this fight and his Pokemon are all around level 20, so I can basically one-hit all of his Pokemon. As I'm about to wrap up Pokemon Tower, I realize the Chandlers are great training here. I would get good special stat experience from them, as well as Wing Attack is a great option for Ghosts because it's a physical move and I can knock them out quickly. After that, I realized that I only have a couple more vitamins I can use, so I'm actually going to make a quick trip to pick up some of those before I do any more training. I take the bike route over to the Safari Zone while picking up the items on the way. In the Safari Zone, I'm going to ride through as quickly as possible and pick up the Carbos and the Protein, as well as picking up Surf here. I'll use those right away and then head over to Sylph, where I can pick up a few more items. And I actually have very few vitamins at this point that I could use. Frankly, I'm probably done with them for the game. At this point, I'll return to all these places and train as much as possible, once again fighting every single trainer that I can find. This is the theme for today. Zubat needs all the help it can get. And finally, after fighting all of the bike route, all of the Sylph building, we can get to the rival at level 50. I am really scared of this team because he has some really hard hitters. He has a Magneton at this point. He has a Vaporeon with Aurora Beam, and he has Sandslash with Slash. He can do some serious damage. Luckily, Mega Drain works great for Sandslash. Magneton is a bit of a problem. Double Edge is the best option that I have. It deals recoil damage, which really sucks for Zubat because its HP is so low, but Wing Attack just doesn't have enough power a lot of the time to knock something out. I'm now level 51 when I get to the Vaporeon on this first try, but it just hits Aurora Beam and knocks me out. I try again and Kadabra gets me, and another time, and then it happens again. On a fourth attempt, the Ninetales takes me out before I can even get there, so I realize I am not even close to being able to beat this fight. I go and pick up a few more trainers to get a little bit more experience, and then I go back at level 53 instead of level 50. This seems to improve my damage somewhat. I get to the Ninetales at much better health, but I just don't have a good option to deal a lot of damage to Ninetales. I have to confuse it and use Wing Attack. Against Kadabra, I don't want it to do anything, so I want to knock it out as quickly as possible with Double Edge. And then I get to Vaporeon, and I try to use Mega Drain. It just doesn't deal enough damage because its special is very high. I try to use Confuse Ray, it's not really consistent, and knock me out again. So I realize even 53 is not high enough level for this fight. I'm starting to run out of trainers though, so I fly over to Fuchsia City, and I fight all of the trainers on the route east of Fuchsia. That is until a certain point when I finally realize I should just go to Koga's gym and knock out some of those Pokemon. I almost never have to fight these guys. This is a real sign that Zubat is having to have a lot of training to even get through the Sylph rival of all people. I also bike over to the fighting dojo in order to fight them. We can watch the fight with the dojo master for the first time, probably on the channel. Even at level 58 here against the Hitmonchan, Zubat can't knock it out in one hit with Wing Attack. That's just really sad. I go back and try the rival again, and kind of the same story, still not close. I give it another shot. I make it to Vaporeon this time, but just can't do it. So I go back to Koga. I figure might as well just try to move on with the things I can do. The Venonat should be easy, right? Like, that's not a great Pokemon. But even them I can't knock out with Wing Attack. So I have to two-hit them and they can hit me with their Psychic moves, which is really bad. Luckily I make it to the Venomoth at good health, and I can deal some good damage with Wing Attack. I survive a Psychic, which I didn't know if I would do, and then I'm able to knock it out. After that, I'm actually not even going to go back to Sylph. I'm going to go to Cinnabar Island instead. I can at least get some more training here. I fight every trainer in Blaine's gym, and then I fight him, just to see how it would go. I am level 60 going into this fight, so that is a pretty decent level. Double Edge does good damage against Ninetales, which is nice. I can knock it out in 2 hits. I get to level up as well, which is awesome. Double Edge also does decent damage against Rapidash, which is cool, but it doesn't quite go down. That makes me a little bit worried about Arcanine, so I use Confuse Ray, and I just want to try to knock this out as quickly as possible, but Zubat does very little damage, and its fire attacks are incredibly strong, so not going to happen. I try it again, but Ninetales just knocks me right out after a critical hit Flamethrower, so I don't think that's going to happen yet either. But now I return to Sylph at level 60 to fight the rival one more time, just to see if maybe at level 60 now things are different. My damage is much better, which is good to see. I can actually make it through to the Kadabra, and I don't need to use Double Edge anymore on it, so that's good. And I can make it to Vaporeon. With Confusion Luck and some hard-hitting physical moves, I can finally take him out, and at level 61 I can finally win the Sylph battle against the rival. At over 2 hours into the game, 7 hours of game time training Zubat. I haven't used any rare candies either, so it has taken a journey to get there. After the rival, I tried to go back to Blaine and see if I can get lucky. Unfortunately, this battle is still tough. So obviously I need more levels, but where can I get them? At this point, I'm surfing around fighting all the swimmers. I'm now level 63, and I guess I should go fight some trainers in Sabrina's gym. They have good experience. So I fly to Saffron, and then I realize in her gym that she has some channelers, which are great experience for me, but also like kind of weird that they're here, right? You would think they should all be psychic Pokemon, but I guess the options are kind of limited. And now that I'm level 64 and in her gym, I decide, I guess I might as well fight Sabrina. She's here, and I'm not winning against Blaine. And actually, this goes incredibly well. I knew I was going to outspeed, so I knew I'd be able to hit each one pretty hard. Unfortunately, I can't knock out Alakazam, but it used Reflect, so super lucky there, and we get a win. First try against Sabrina, did not expect that at all. At this point, we're now level 65, so that's over another damage rounding point, so I guess might as well go fight Blaine again. Not really a lot of options left at this point. I make it to the Arcanine, and we get so close. Now, at 28 resets into the playthrough, at level 65, we can finally get the Confusion Luck against Arcanine and take it out. That was honestly just luck, too. Zubat didn't really win that handily at all, even at level 65. I did not expect Blaine to be a huge problem in the late game. With that, we only have one gym left. It's Giovanni, and we fight every single person in his gym, and then we prepare to fight him. Now at level 66, we're going to teach Mimic. I teach it over Double Edge because we're going to be able to mimic some good physical moves, but then you see me pause here before I save. This is what I did before fighting Lance in my last playthrough, and not having Double Edge may have been the reason I got stuck there. So I really considered if this was the right strategy, and I think so because I have a different plan for Lance. And against Giovanni, Mimic is going to be very good. As a nice change of pace, his Dugtrio actually isn't a problem at all. Sand Attack is actually its only thing it should use, but it doesn't know that, so it's kind of harmless. Against Persian, I can steal Double Team and set that all the way up. This is so I can avoid the Thunder from the Nidos, as well as the Rock Slide from Rhydon. After setting up that Double Team, my stats are through the roof, as you can see on the card, and with some luck, as long as I don't get hit by any of those moves, we're going to have an easy win here. And we do! So Giovanni is actually another gym leader that we didn't have any issues at. After Giovanni, I'm about to head to the rival, and then I realized I can go pick up that extra rare candy in the power plant, which I should do because Zubat's going to need every level it can get. And then we return to Viridian to fight the rival. I am now 20 levels above the Sandslash as we start this fight, which is insane. But even then, I can get paralyzed by a Magneton, a crit Thundershock does a ton of damage, and I just decide to reset because that's going nowhere in that one. I am mimicking Slash from Sandslash because I do want a good hard-hitting physical move. That way I can knock out Execute as quickly as possible, as well as Magneton because I do not want to get hit by anything that would paralyze me. Slash is even a great option against Ninetales. It's not quite a guaranteed crit, but it's most likely going to be a crit, so it's going to do the most damage out of any of my moves. Kadabra is actually not even an issue, and Vaporeon doesn't have any ice moves anymore, so we can actually knock it out pretty quickly. With that, we're about to head to the league, but before we do, we need just a little bit more experience in Victory Road before I'm level 70, and funnily enough, the very last wild encounter I get in this playthrough is a Zubat. Hello buddy, just take that experience and I'll be level 70. Here I'm going to use 5 rare candies to be level 75 before I challenge Lorelei. Now that is very high level. Before this, my highest level was with my Voltorb playthrough, but now this is definitely the highest one with Zubat. Level 75 to start the Elite Four. Unfortunately, I play poorly against Slowbro and get knocked out by Psychic, and then I make it to Lapras on the next playthrough and get hit by Blizzard, so that one doesn't work out. But the main strategy is this. I need to use Mega Drain against Dugong, who's going to use Rest most likely, and then I can just make sure I'm full health and knock it out with that. Kind of the same for Cloyster, I just don't want to get frozen by Ice Beam, which is just a 10% chance, but still it's a little bit scary. And then against Slowbro, I need to use Confuse Ray to mess it up a little bit, and then steal Amnesia. This will boost my special as well as my other stats because of the Badge Boost glitch, and then I can Mega Drain to get some health back. Against Jinx, I can't really use Mega Drain. I mean, it would do decent damage, but I just knock it out with Wing Attack instead. And with Lapras, I can actually one-hit with Mega Drain because of the incredible special 562 special on Zubat. And then there's Bruno, and you would think, a Zubat only, Bruno has to be able to do something against Zubat, right? And no, Mega Drain's great for Onix, Wing Attack is good for the Hitmons, another Onix with Mega Drain, and then Wing Attack from a champ. And with that, we're on to Agatha. Now Agatha's a little bit weird because we don't have great damage. We don't have Psychic, we don't have Earthquake, we just have to rely on Wing Attack. Luckily it has a lot of uses, so I'm just going to have to chip away at her Pokemon. And I can steal Substitute, which means I can't get confused. I can still get put to sleep and hit by Psychic or Dream Eater, which are going to be devastating. One unfortunate thing here is that my main way that I've been restoring my health, Mega Drain, doesn't really work. So I have to just try to make it through without taking too much damage. I do take the chance at Arbok to try to heal up a little bit. I get paralyzed, which sucks, but I want to be able to set up one extra substitute if I can. It doesn't really work out, I just end up paralyzed and I'm still at 20 HP, so really not a great strategy. But with some insane luck, I can actually knock out Gengar and make it through Agatha. And with that, we can move on to officially the hardest battle in the playthrough. I try it once and actually get pretty far, but then I realize Blizzard and Thunder on Dragonite are also a problem. So let's go through this. How does this fight go? At the top, I need to confuse Gyarados. So Gyarados has Hyper Beam, which I can steal, and that'll be the best damage against the Dragon Pokemon. Granted, Lance has Ice Beam on the third Dragonair. There's no way I can get there reliably, so Hyper Beam is just a better option. Which is weird to me, I never do this strategy, but the combination of Confuse Ray and Hyper Beam is what we need to rely on for this fight. And luckily at level 80, Zubat has enough damage to knock out the Dragonairs in one hit. It can outspeed the Aerodactyl and confuse it and do some good damage. At Dragonite, we can tank a Thunder, which is kind of worst case scenario. Luckily it is confused now, so I can start chipping away. I get hit by a Blizzard as well, but I survive on 7 HP, and then I can hit a Hyper Beam and knock it out. So good, so close still, but we made it. At level 80, Lance was possible. I used my last rare candies to take Zubat up to level 83. And then I can teach Rest, and then we're ready for the champion fight. And here I'm going to, of course, take Earthquake. Earthquake is a fantastic move. It's just the most reliable. Mega Drain is great for Sand Slash. Earthquake then takes out the Alakazam in one hit, which is perfect. Executor can be annoying, but it can't do a ton of damage to us, and luckily it misses Hypnosis. With that, we're on to Ninetales, and Earthquake is great here too. But the big question, can I knock out Magneton in one hit? And the answer is yes. The last Pokemon, Vaporeon, does have Aurora Beam again, but we have high health and great damage. We can knock it out, and finally, Zubat can complete Yellow version. Zubat finished the game at 2 hours, 34 minutes, and 31 seconds of real time, and 8 hours and 57 minutes of game time. That is absolutely insanely long, one of my longest to date. However, that does beat my previous time with Golbat, so I'm pretty happy with those results. If you're proud of Zubat, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more challenges. We have more coming next week. Have a wonderful day.